And it's been alluded to a couple of times here recently in our assembly. For God is my King of old, working salvation in the midst of the earth. This is what the Lord is doing. In the midst of the earth. That is that right here in front of every man's eyes, in Satan's territory, in the place where angels look and minister, God's salvation is center stage. The nation of Israel is his people, and Jerusalem is his city. So when the jealous Lord of hosts returns to his city with mercies, certain things, notable and undeniable things, will happen. And this will be witnessed by the nations. Amen. This is what we're hearing here in the book of Zechariah. This is being laid out for us here in this book is the effects of when the Lord returns to his city. The temple being built is just one thing. So certain divine and notable things will happen according to the word of the Lord. Now, I want to list some of these things that we've seen so far in Zechariah's book. Here's some of the effects of the Lord's return. His temple, his habitation will be built. His cities will prosper and spread abroad. Zion will be comforted. He will choose Jerusalem again. Those who have scattered his people will be terrified and cast out. The Lord will be a wall of fire round about her, and the glory in the midst of her. Zion will sing and rejoice. The Lord will dwell in the midst of her. Many nations will be joined to the Lord in that day. The Lord will raise up out of his holy habitation. He will remove the iniquity of that land in one day. Every man will call his neighbor under the vine and under the fig tree. And whatever mountain is in the way of completing the temple, it will become a plain. And the headstone will be put in place with shoutings of grace, grace unto it. The people of God will rejoice when they see the plummet held up to the work. Jerusalem will be a city of truth and a holy mountain. Old men and old women will dwell in the streets, leaning on their staves for very age. Boys and girls will play safely in the streets. The Lord will save his people from the east and from the west, and will bring them to Jerusalem to dwell. They shall be his people, and he will be their God, in truth and in righteousness. The seed will prosper, the vine will give fruit, and the heaven will give dew. The ground will give its increase for the inhabitants of the city. Now all of this will happen to the people of God, the Jews. All of this will happen to Jerusalem. All of this will happen because the Lord of hosts is jealous for Zion, for his city, and he will return with mercies. This will happen because he has thought to do well unto Jerusalem and to Judah. So if his name, this is really all about God, you know. If his name is to be upheld and glorified, he's going to do it in his city. And if his city is to glorify him and be upheld, then his people will prosper in his city. So this is not the kind of thing that is going to be kept a secret, nor does the Lord intend for it to be secret. Let all the nations be gathered together, and let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this and show us former things? Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified. Or let them hear and say, it is truth. Ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. I, even I, am the Lord, and beside me there is no Savior. I have declared and have saved. I have showed when there was no strange God among you. Therefore ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord, that I am God. Yea, before the day was, I am he, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand. I will work, and who will let it? That is, who will hinder it? Who will stop me? I will work. Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. The beasts of the field shall honor me, the dragons and the owls, because I give waters in the wilderness and rivers in the desert to give drink to my people, my chosen. This people have I formed for myself. They shall show forth my praise. This is speaking of the people of God. Now, does it make any sense to you that God would form a people for himself and then cast them off? Does it make any sense that he would say that he's going to save them and gather them together, but not do it? Does God use bait and switch tactics, baiting with the Jews, but then switching all his promises to Gentiles? God doesn't do this. God will be glorified in Israel, in the Jews. God will do precisely what he said he's going to do. Now, nearly every time I've heard this spoken of with relation to the Jews, the nation of Israel, a naysayer will argue, but all men are going to be saved by faith. Well, that is true, and we're not disputing that. And this does not exclude the Jews. That argument does not exclude the Jews, as if God cannot grant faith to a Jew, as if belief is inherent in men and not given by God, and as if God does not have an elect people, as if God has not chosen those whom he will save through Jesus Christ. So these people who argue with this either have not read the Bible or they have not read it and believed it. I will work, and who will let it? Now, if God grants faith to someone merely because he is a Jew, is he going to argue with God? Is it impossible for God to do this? Please tell us, Gentile, why did God grant faith to you? What did you bring to the table? Tell us your fine family tree. Go back in history and show us how God always worked in your family.